Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Today we have Jori Spencer with us. She is a health and wellness advocate living on Maui, Hawaii, and her message today is one of progress, not perfection, and I really believe that this is going to encourage you. Welcome to the Morning Mindset. Right. Hey everyone, welcome back. So we have Jori Spencer with us on the phone. Jori, how are you?
Great, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Jori, tell me something good today.
Tell you something good. Well, I got a little workout in before
Awesome.
we did this, so that was good.
That's awesome, like an at-home workout.
Yeah.
Right on. That is cool. Well, Jori, like I said, I appreciate you joining us on the Morning Mindset. I've told you already before, I really appreciate you. You've been a really awesome voice of just encouragement and I would say a mentor for my wife, and it's been really fun to get to know you through social media, through Sarah, and then you're also one of my best friend, Jori Spencer's aunt, which is super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have you on the phone today. So Jori, if you would just start us out with, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Jori Spencer?
Who is Jori Spencer? Well, I feel like that's such a big question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's so many parts of me. And I guess at this stage in my life, a lot of it is Jori Spencer. On my business card, I have health and wellness advocate,
Yeah.
kind of the plower and the presser ahead of, trying to find out all these things.
Yeah.
and pass the message on. And then there's Jori Spencer, the mom, and, with family and my kids, and then also surrogate mom and auntie.
Yeah.
To so many kids and my kids' friends here on Maui and stuff. And so I think those are my two biggest roles, because I've always had such a heart for young people, young moms, and have done a lot of mentoring for women even prior to getting in, to the health aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So you just mentioned it. You live on Maui, correct?
Right.
How long have you lived on Maui?
Oh boy, 1987 we moved here.
Wow.
So quite a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then, that kind of goes into your Instagram handle, which is a little bit, goes into what you just said is who is Jori Spencer, Health High. So you are, let's start with, you're a health and wellness advocate. Talk to me a little bit about that, if you will.
Yeah. So actually, the name Health High, I got that just a crazy thing. I've been really praying about it because I knew I wanted this name and this new journey that I was going to start doing on Instagram. I really wanted it to be such a name that was clear on some of my main points. And so what Health High is, it's so HI, being it's a play on words. So high, like the euphoric high, the high, that excitement, that motivation, that wellness and being healthy and vibrant brings to your life.
Yeah.
So that's that one part. And then the second part is high, like high school, if you went to Coeur d'Alene High or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's an educational aspect to what I want to do, and to be able to teach and encourage people. And my biggest thing is to create and encourage people to learn themselves. So not just getting only the information from me or other people, but learn how to research and find out the information themselves too.
Yeah.
So be learners as well. And then the HI, HI, because it's the our abbreviation for Hawaii. So to really support local and be involved in community and maybe even partner up with different things that are happening locally. So those are the 3 parts of what Health High stands for.
That's so awesome. I love that. And I actually didn't know all of that. So that's really, really cool. So then with health and wellness, and then I really want to circle back to something that you said that I loved, is that you made it a point to say you're a mom. You're someone who likes to, or has a passion for investing in the younger generation. And, knowing you, I don't know you super well, but knowing you from a little bit of a distance, I can see that in everything that you do. So talk a little bit more about, what drives you and why do you do what you do specifically with health and wellness, as well as, the mentoring and encouraging.
Well, what drives me, so there's on a personal level, my own journey of health. When I was diagnosed, more specifically about 14 years ago, with all kinds of food sensitivities. I had been battling with all these different, I call them quote unquote attacks that I would have. And I didn't know what it was. It was in my early 40s. And I just kind of, would go to the doctor or get tests done. And of course, they would all come back fine and say I was fine. So 14 years ago, I saw a naturopathic doctor, and she said, I think it's food related, but we'll get all your baseline hormones and all of this. So that was a big discovery for me, and where I did then I had high levels of gluten sensitivity. I had candida. I had all kinds of food issues.
Wow.
So that kind of began my journey. Now, 14 years ago, nobody knew what gluten was. There was a few handful of people, but especially in my world, my circle of friends, even myself, I had never really heard of gluten. And, so when I had to cut gluten out of my diet, I was like, what is that? Everybody's like, what is that?
Yeah.
So it kind of was, it was a lonely road. My family didn't understand. My husband didn't understand. It caused a lot of arguments, and because it's such a invisible thing when you have food sensitivities or internal, like autoimmune. Now that we know what it is, different sort of autoimmune issues. It's so internal that it's not like if you broke your arm, or I had a gash in my leg. People see those kinds of visible injuries, and there's a lot more sympathy for that, and you can kind of work around it. But when it's internal and you don't feel good, I was having like panic attacks and heart palpitations and just different things that I just thought, I'm have to deal with these things. It's just, and some things you don't even really notice. You get so used to living that way that you don't even realize until it goes away, and you're like, oh wow, I haven't had like a heart palpitation in months, or something like that. But so that was a big thing for me as I started like digging in and reading and researching and watching things and understanding about health and nutrition and wellness. And obviously it began with the foods that I ate, but then as I learned, this knowledge expanded more to lifestyle and the toxins in our home and in our environment. And it just there's this like ripple effect on health and wellness that is bigger than just the food we eat. So anyway, so that was one thing for me, was just my own journey and how difficult it was and how lonely it was. And so part of the motivation, and again, today it's so prevalent, and so it's not like it was, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
But again, so there's so many people that feel alone in it, even in today's world. They just feel like they're the only ones going through this, maybe in their family or in their circle of friends. There's not that awareness, and I had a client that she was the same way, and her family, considered themselves eating healthy, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But she felt all alone, in it, even today. So that's a big motivation for me, is to really come alongside and help these people feel like they are not alone, and then empower them with information and how to look for information and kind of get the ball rolling for them, which has been, to me, that has brought me like the biggest joy, is seeing some of my clients, like till this day, just like continue, and the ripple effect, and their kids are now like in the kitchen cooking healthy dinners for their family, and they'll send me photos, and it just makes my heart like swell, because you see that ripple effect that happens. And so that's a big thing. And then as far as the mentoring and my heart for young women, I have 3 grown boys, and I had boys, and I just always thought I would have girls. And, as God knows best, through my kids growing up, I just always had a strong connection with a lot of the girls in their circle of friends. And I was always in youth ministry and all of that, so I had that connection. But I've always, and continue to this day, to be really good friends with a lot of my kids' friends that they grew up with, which is really cool. And so I think for me, it just naturally happened. But if I can help influence the younger generation, what a great head start that they would have, and it's like, I wish I knew what I knew, like 20 plus years prior to when I found out. But, it is what it is. But I just feel so thankful, and to use the opportunity that I have these connections with all these young people, and to be able to encourage them, in this kind of way of life. And I kind of have this hashtag on my Instagram that I kind of adopted, and it's the hashtag is way of life, because health and wellness should be a way of life. It's not just a one thing or a one, a moment thing, or I'm only going to do this. I'm going to do this for 6 months. It's a accumulation of healthy habits over a course of time that should be sustainable for the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, I love that. And even just hearing your journey of what has led you to where you are today, and just to tell you, you are making a huge difference. You really are. I've seen that, like I've said, in my wife and in my friends that have had the opportunity to connect with you. And so it's just making a huge difference, and it's been so cool to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this way of life that you talk about, and I've seen that on your Instagram, and I love what you post. It's so encouraging, because as you talked about the ripple effect, like it started out with the food sensitivities and discovering those, but then you said it went into more of just health, like holistically, so as a lifestyle. And so, I talk a lot about mindset and how our thoughts matter, right. And how there's power to what we allow to influence us and what we allow to, focus on or stew on. And so if you wouldn't mind touching on that, like I ask people a lot, how would you describe mindset? But I want there to be freedom in that question, along the lines of just health and wellness, if you would.
Right. Well, that's so good, because this is a kind of a new category for me to really land on.
Yeah.
I'd say within the last couple years of my journey and really understanding this mindset and the power of our mind,
Yeah.
and the influence that it has on our health, both emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's new to me, but there's so much.
Yeah.
So I'll try to pick my best things to focus on. So
Awesome.
For me, I mean, I think mindset is kind of starts with belief.
Yeah.
And it's what you believe, and where you land your thoughts on, because the mindset, like it's what you set your mind on, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the way that you think, about certain things that will then propel you to move into what you do, because mindset is really just what's in your head at first.
Yep.
And then it should propel you out to do something, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's evolves. I think your mindset evolves and changes. I feel like it should.
Yeah.
As we grow. Yeah. I don't know. I hope that answered your question.
It absolutely did, and I'm taking notes too. And I love that it starts with a belief. And so I want to touch on that a little bit because, even, and I don't know how much, Jori, you know of my story. I'm sure I'll share with you, but I struggled with being severely overweight from a young age, and really it affected the way that I lived, and it affected my thoughts, and really became riddled by insecurities, even as I lost weight, and getting older, and I had to really make a drastic change in my life a few years back. But I'm totally hearing you, because I had a belief that that's just who I was. I was unhealthy. I was overweight. It affected my life. I was, I was what people called me, different things like that. And it really did affect everything else, every other part of my physical, mental, emotional well-being. And that's, you just hit on that. You said emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically.
Right.
And so, as you say, your thinking propels you to move in a direction. That's also what I say. I always say, hey, what we think about and focus on consistently, we move towards.
Yeah.
Right. And so, as you encourage and really empower, I believe, through your words and your actions, other individuals to go in this direction of being healthy, holistically healthy, and it starts with the belief. And so, how would you encourage the person who maybe is feeling as though they're stuck, or they're unhealthy, or like you said before, they're alone in this? Because man, this now more than ever, this idea of health and wellness, it's not even an idea, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of life, as you said, is so important. And so how would you encourage that person?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's individual.
Yeah.
Because each person is going to have a different set of beliefs, and just as far as how deep maybe some traumas or things are for them will be different. But I think the big thing is to reformulate those thoughts, because a lot of those things, like what you experienced, were lies.
Yes.
And we believe lies.
Yeah.
And whether it was, from whatever, whether it was intentionally spoken by people that are in our life, or just things that we saw or heard in our life that we sort of just, put on ourselves.
Yeah.
or expectations of ourselves. And so it's really kind of talking through, praying through, and understanding like where those lies come from, and then understanding what's true and understanding that those lies are not the truth, and then replacing them. And I mean, one of my most favorite life scriptures talking about mindset, and it's been one of my life verses for the longest time, is Philippians 4, you know, and you know, prayer and supplication, make your request, but then, you know, at the end of that series, it says, you know, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if there's any excellence, if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things, think upon these things. And so it's really learning a practice, and it's a practice of thinking upon the things that are true and are the truth about ourselves, about understanding. And I think a lot of times too, it's difficult, and so we don't want to go there, you know, whether it's an emotional trauma or even physical, you know, like it's just like, oh gosh, everything that I have to do to undo this. I mean, it's a lot of work. And so, you know, I feel like that's where community and, you know, coaches, health coaches, and just all of this, that kind of thing, you know, we do it together, right? And help each other out. And so, I think that's a big thing. So that gets into, like, I mean, it can go into, you know, into so many areas of our life, but it still affects our health.
Absolutely.
You know, like what we think about. And what's so cool about this whole mindset thing is because we know that our mind has so much power.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to be a believer if it's who we are, but we know that the mind has so much power. And I mean, it's just like you think about if you were walking down an alley, and a dark alley at night, and you thought someone was following you, and your heart rate starts going, your stomach kind of gets knots and stuff. Yeah. But there was nobody following you. Yeah. But just because you thought that was happening, it affected the dynamic and your nervous system and everything in your body. And so to think that our mind has no connection to the physicalities of our bodies would be ridiculous. And, you know, I love that scenario, or when we're nervous or to get up on stage to do something or something out of our comfort zone. Yeah. You know, some people get butterflies in the stomach. Some people even throw up, you know, before they have a performance, because the mind is so powerful over the body and affects the nervous system in such a powerful way. And it can be in a good way. It can, you know.
I love that analogy because I have done that. I have done that before. I don't know if it was a dark alley, but even like a dark staircase, you're just like, someone is following me. You're so right, because then you start running faster, right? You start breathing heavier. You get to the top of the stairs. Yeah, exactly. Wow, that is so good. And you're so right. You said a couple things here that I just love, and I wrote down, because you said it's a learning practice, right? This idea of you know, approaching life with the right mindset isn't just something that you, all of a sudden I have the right mindset, perfect. Now I can, you know, whether it's now I can lose weight, or okay, now I can overcome this. I finally got the mindset piece. It is a daily practice. Right. And you know, I really believe that mindset goes into even what you're doing now, right? You have to be of the right mind to start a business, to be able to mentor, coach, and you know, guide people through any sort of process, right? And so for you, I'm just out of curiosity because I see you doing this so well. And I see you continuing to commit to learning and growing and in all these different things. What are a few things that are either daily practices or disciplines that you do that really helps you? Because we're all human, we all have thoughts that are negative, or we get sad, or we deal with emotions.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the daily things that you do that help you start your day or approach life or relationships of the right mind?
For me, it's working out, some kind of exercise type thing. But what I encourage people to do is it's movement. It's whatever, if you're a dancer, then dance. If you like to go walking, then go walk, or hiking. It's just movement.
Yeah.
But for me, it's working out. So it's something that has definitely been a huge part. And then understanding and learning about health and knowing what exercise does to you.
Absolutely.
Physically and mentally, because it releases serotonin and the good endorphins, and so puts you in a better mood, but it also oxygenates your body and detoxes your body. So there's so many aspects to it that really, and I notice the difference for me, like to start my day as much as I can. I like the morning. I know some people can't. They'll work out in the afternoon, but whenever you can.
Yeah. Just get the blood flowing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm the same way, Jori. It's funny that you mentioned listening to worship music specifically live, because I do the same exact thing. And I'm like, I always go to like a live worship set while I'm working, in the background while I'm working out, whatever. So I love that you said that. I can 100% relate. But wow, and what I love is that you said you're learning and you're becoming a better listener. And I think there's this aspect of, especially with the mindset piece or the mental side of our health, where our minds are always going 1,000 miles per minute, and to have the discipline to slow down.
Yeah.
And like you said, whether you are a Christian or not, to have time to reflect, pray, meditate. Have you, what am I trying to ask? How have you seen, on the days that maybe you don't do that, as opposed to the days you do?
Yeah.
How do you tell a difference? Because for you, it's exercise, it is devotion, it's quiet. That is key. And I'm finding a lot of people that I talk to, they're fairly similar. These morning routines are crucial. How have you noticed a difference on the days where maybe you're rushed and you don't have time to do that?
What's so interesting is when you ask that question, like, I think probably a lot of people will say, like, oh, like if I don't get my workout in, I'm just like so grouchy. Or if I don't blah, 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 I can tell like I'm in a bad mood. And for me, I think, I don't think I notice it that specifically, even though I feel like I'm very aware and in tune with my body and just how it responds to different things and whatever. But what I think is, and I think this is what's so cool about having a routine, and so going back to the mindset helps to create habits, which then helps give you a routine. And I think when you have a routine, I think those differences are going to be less. So I think because I have like this routine in the morning, and then I also have like a evening routine, which I think is as important as your morning routine.
Absolutely.
I think when you have that routine, there's that momentum going. So if you miss a day for whatever reason, or like I take rest days on the weekend, I think the impact of feeling not so good isn't as traumatic because you've got this momentum going, versus like, I don't do any workout and okay, this week I'm going to work out and I get 2 workouts in. And then next week I'm super lazy and I don't get any workout in. Or the same way with eating. Okay, this week I want to eat really good. And so, and you do that. I think the impact of the days you don't is probably greater.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I just think, because I feel like it's cumulative, and I think I've been doing this for so long, just for me personally, I don't see as big an impact. But what I do see is, like, if I have something that maybe I know isn't as good, or I shouldn't have, and maybe after a while my body might be more sensitive to it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And I love that you said that, because it goes back into the mindset piece, and they help create habits and routine. And even that is a mindset, I think, which is so good to have, is you have this momentum, because what I've experienced myself, and then I've talked to a lot of people who do also, is they're doing so good for so long, and then they fall off, and then it takes them a week or 2 weeks or 3, and then you go down like this downward spiral.
Yeah.
But when you just approach it as, hey, no, I need to give myself grace, as you touched on, is a discipline to learn, and realize I'm not perfect. And so you miss a day, or maybe you wake up late or whatever, to just say, hey, no worries. This isn't going to ruin the rest of my day. I'm going to get right back on track and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And that is huge.
And the thing that I've had to learn, which I have another hashtag that I've incorporated, because being an Enneagram 1, and also the way I was raised with a very perfectionist mindset, that was really hard for me in the beginning. And I've had to learn over the years to give myself that grace. And so a lot of times with that perfectionist mindset, it either hinders you from starting anything, because you're like, oh, I have to do it perfect, so I'm not going to start until I can do it perfect. Or it derails you, because then you get one mess up and you're like, oh, I blew it. When it's like, no, you do one mess up, okay, the cumulative effect of just acknowledging that mess up but keep going, that it's not going to take away from the 6 months that you did so well, or the even 6 days that you did well. Totally. Just keep going, because and so the other hashtag that I have is progress, not perfection.
Oh, I love that.
Because as long as you're going forward and making progress, sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 5 steps forward, and the momentum gets better. And I've learned that. I've had to see that, myself, that, I have a bad day, I forgot to do something, or I had a weak moment and I ate this and whatever. Okay, just continue, acknowledge that was, oops, and then keep going. But the cumulative effect of everything positive is still gonna be a better thing than just derailing you, And that's those lies that we think, like, oh, I failed, I blew it, so I might as well quit. And it's like, well, who said that?
Yeah.
How did we ever get that thought? And I've been there, you know, like, how did we ever get that thought? Like, gosh, if we messed up once, then that means giving up
totally
the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's
so good, and it's a good message for me to continue to learn, because I've struggled with that on and on, or on and off throughout my life. Is like, because I'm an Enneagram 3, so I want the perfection. I am a go. I consider myself kind of a high capacity person, and if something goes south, it has the potential to kind of derail me for a while. So this message, I mean, I'm taking tons of notes, Jori, is so good. Progress, not perfection, because that is how, going back to what you said before, we create a lifestyle.
Right.
It's not, we're not on this sprint. This is a way of life.
Right.
And it's such an important message.
Exactly.
So, well, Jori, this was so good, and man, I just want to thank you so much for what you're doing, and you not just for my wife, which has been huge, but just for so many people. And your message on your social platforms, everything is just so crucial and so awesome. So just know that you're making a huge difference, and that you are much appreciated from a lot of people, even over here from the mainland. So.
Thank you so much. it's very humbling, and I take it with as a careful gift.
Yeah.
That I am entrusted with, and
Yeah.
so I appreciate those great words. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, well, awesome, Jori. We're gonna add your website and your social, links to this video
Okay.
so that people can continue to be encouraged by you.
Great.
But again, I just appreciate you so much, and
Thank you.
yeah, I know we'll continue a friendship moving forward, and I can't wait. So.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being on, and I'm gonna let you go.
You're
So
welcome.
you have an
Okay.
awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye bye.